What happens if history tells of an eruption that to this day no one can find evidence of? There is a gold rush town in the deep Canadian north with memories of the day the skies turned red. A volcano, they said, lit up the night. But geologists have yet to find any trace of their claim. How can that be? And why does it start to add up when we understand just where this all took place? Join us as we chase this puzzle into the BC backcountry, where the land and hidden ruins tell a fiery and fascinating story. We go not in our colorful home on wheels, but in a new addition to our journey, one we are most eager to introduce you to. Hit the trails with us and step into a story the land itself still holds. It's a strange tale, and it begins here. Atlin, British Columbia. This tiny Canadian town lies tucked away at the end of the road, surrounded by truly jaw-dropping scenery. At the turn of the century, Atlin boasted a population of over 10,000, fueled by the discovery of gold. One winter, a strange news story came out of Atlin. Miners reported working nights, profiting by the mellow twilight caused by the volcano's glare, which turned night into day. The story was picked up by a few international papers, some a bit dramatic and apparently forgetting their geography. The Vesuvius of Alaska. Lava pours from an Alaskan crest. Eruptions of a volcano near Atlin. Bursts of lava and showers of ashes followed. It was a flash-in-the-pan story, quickly forgotten as other matters caught the public eye. The story of the glowing skies over Atlin faded into memory, and the incident was never investigated. 126 years later, the town of Atlin is much smaller. A tiny but vibrant community of artists, miners, and homesteaders, it picks up in the summer and quiets down in the winter. But year-round, a sleeping giant rises behind Atlin. We may be getting our first glimpse of it at the Atlin Warm Springs. Far preceding the gold rush, this region has been home to the Taku River Tlingit First Nation. Their name for this spring is Yet-ai-Heen.
Nice.
Warm and hot springs form when groundwater seeps into cracks in the bedrock, and if there is a heat source down there, the heated water will find its way back to the surface. And now, if you're thinking that the heat source below us must be magma, think again. It's all a bit more mysterious than that. The springs are located here, 12 miles from Atlin and 30 miles from that sleeping giant. We are headed there now. We love our home on wheels, but Bobby Bus isn't really the best set of wheels for exploring mining roads in the BC backcountry. But this new addition to our story is built for precisely that. Paco is our new tool for taking you to places we probably shouldn't be trying to reach in the bus. So far on this journey of ours, there have been a lot of places we just couldn't get to. Now, that won't be a problem. In the early 2000s, a team of geoscientists traveled this same road into the mountains behind Atlin. Their mission was to study and map the region. If anyone were to find evidence of an 1898 eruption, it would be them. And the first place one would naturally look is Ruby Mountain. Some mountains are born when tectonic plates collide in Earth's version of a slow-motion car crash. Others are born in fire. It may not look it anymore, but Ruby Mountain is a volcano, a cinder cone to be exact. This type of volcano is born in an explosive event where molten rock spits and spews from the earth long enough to build a beautifully shaped cone of loose lava rock. But Ruby Mountain doesn't look much like a cone today. The reason why, of course, is ice. Over the past 2.6 million years, Earth has experienced no fewer than 50 glacial cycles, with ice carving out the land with each advance and retreat. Scoured and shaped by glaciers, Ruby Mountain's fiery origins are less obvious now. But a volcano she is, and there is a lot to see up there on Ruby. Now, every good adventure must have a twist or two, and here we encounter our first. The 4x4 trail that continues up the flanks of Ruby is now blocked off, so our plans to climb higher and camp up there are thwarted. But there is a silver lining to every cloud, and this just means that tonight's search for a camp spot is going to include a bit more exploring than we initially bargained for. And that's the kind of twist one should always welcome. We venture a bit farther than planned, aided by the long days of summer. At this time of year, northern BC receives about 17 hours of daylight, followed by a long, lingering twilight, and the sky never fully goes dark. The land soaks up every drop of this gifted light, because come winter, the tables turn, and this alpine mountainscape enters a deep freeze that must be both brutal and also stunningly beautiful. Imagine it's 1898, and you are a miner working the gold-bearing creeks of this region. What reason would you have to make up a story about an eruption providing enough light to work through the night? Was it all some elaborate, coordinated story, or were miners telling the truth? If they had been, then when geoscientists came here in the early 2000s, they would have found some evidence of that eruption, right? Paco is set up so that we can go on multi-day filming trips if an episode calls for it. The wealth of storytelling possibilities this just opened up between here and Argentina is, in a word, exciting. Now we can get just about anywhere to capture all the footage to illustrate whatever intriguing story that place has to tell. And every place has a story. Today, the mission is the summit of Ruby Mountain. It's a big day with ambitious filming goals, so we charge up all the batteries and ourselves in prep for what lies ahead. With batteries and bodies charged up, we head out for Ruby. And we can't resist just a bit more exploring while we're at it. So we're headed up to the summit of Ruby because there are a couple more pieces of the story waiting for us up there. So this is the rock that makes up Ruby Mountain. The really important thing to understand about this rock is that this did not come from the crust. This came from below the crust. And there's only a couple ways that material can get from down there all the way up here. Another thing to understand is how this behaves when it's molten. When this rock is molten, it behaves much like warm honey. If this were material, common material from the crust, it would behave more like chunky, thick peanut butter. So where this rock comes from and how it behaves when it's molten, both details play a really big role in this story, and we'll learn more about that a little bit further on. Every time we do an alpine hike, it never ceases to amaze how the hardiest plants, the ones that thrive in the harshest conditions, often appear to be the most fragile and delicate. There seems to be a life lesson in there somewhere. It's a little treacherous in this spot.
At this point here, there's no trail. Basically, we just gotta keep going straight up. So where do you think we should go? Should we go around here or around here?
I think we should come across there and then climb up, because I believe that little point there is like
The first summit?
yeah, like false summit kind of.
So we follow the snow patch?
Yeah, go up along here
Okay,
and then up and keep following the vegetation.
all right.
Because that, if we start slipping and sliding from that way, that wouldn't be fun.
All right. I also see like a path right there.
Oh, true. Yeah. Let's stick to the vegetation as much as we can. The hike from the road to the summit is only about 1.5 miles, but it's steep, and the loose, sharp lava rock makes finding your footing a bit of a treacherous affair. Careful, love. For those who find wonder and delight in Earth stories, coming to a place like this is a humbling experience. Places like Ruby Mountain remind us just how small we are, how brief and fleeting our mayfly lives. Isn't it something that no matter where you go in this world, stories abound? In people, in their communities, and some of the most captivating stories are written in the land itself.
Wow,
Oh my gosh,
it's pretty amazing.
you can see so much. We are standing at the edge of the summit crater, the vent from which all this rock spewed from the earth about 500,000 years ago. Now it is marked with frost polygons created by the freeze-thaw cycle year after year after year. With the crater rim as our guide, we make our way to the summit, where a sliver of hard, cliff-forming lava rock forms the volcano's highest point, just under 6,200 feet in elevation. From the summit, we begin to see that Ruby Mountain does not stand alone. We are in the heart of the Atlin Volcanic District, where no fewer than 6 cinder cones and lava flows coincide. And that's not the end of the story. The Atlin Volcanic District is just one part of a massive volcanic province stretching from Alaska through the Yukon Territory and halfway down British Columbia. It's huge, but subtle. Volcanic landforms dot the region, most of them elusive to the untrained eye, and each occurring between 2 very clear boundaries. We have spent time along both those boundaries on this journey of ours without realizing their larger significance. The Tintina Fault, which we first glimpsed in the Yukon, is the easternmost boundary of the Northern Cordilleran Volcanic Province. Its westernmost boundary is the Denali Fault, which is also responsible for the tallest mountain in North America. Curious, isn't it, how in the end everything ties together? From up here, it's not hard to imagine the feverish sense of potential miners felt when gold was discovered back here. If it's in one stream, it's probably in all the rest. How convenient it would have been to work round the clock, aided by the glow of an eruption. It is amazing how much we can see from up here. The one thing we can't see is evidence of an 1898 eruption. But does that mean it didn't happen? Not necessarily. If there's one thing this landscape screams, it is scale. Could it be that somewhere within this sprawling wilderness, a vent opened up and spewed out enough glowing lava to support the miner's story? That possibility starts to feel less far-fetched once you understand how the Northern Cordilleran Volcanic Province formed. That final piece of the story awaits at our final destination out here in the Atlin Volcanic District. For now, we take in the last dwindling light on Ruby as it throws her deeply carved flanks into stark contrast. The legacy of ice, wind, water, and time. Now, fans of Earth history tend to also be fans of human history, and one cannot explore the maze of mining roads behind Atlin without stumbling upon a few thought-provoking gems of the past. So far, we are feeling pretty good about Paco. Just the thought of trying to bring the bus up here gives us both a touch of anxiety.
This is really cool. Oh, this is really cool, but it's kind of sad to see it running away.
It's out here in the forest.
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Just out here in the forest, indeed. This is all that's left of a dipper dredge from Marion, Ohio, that was brought all the way out here in 1907. Its main task was to dig a channel that would provide water pressure for hydraulic gold mining down in the valley below. To this day, the creeks of this region cut down into a layer of gold-bearing gravel. Back in the day, having the water pressure to loosen and work through all that gravel was the challenge. That's why, if you explore the Atlin backroads enough, you'll keep finding evidence of early miners' extraordinary effort to control water. The Boulder Dam was constructed in 1927, once again to provide enough pressure for hydraulic placer mining here on Boulder Creek. It remarkably still stands just shy of 100 years later. Just about everywhere you look in these mountains, you see signs of mining, both past and present. The old Atlin powerhouse provided electricity to multiple dredges in the early 1900s. It pumped out a staggering alternating current of 22,000 volts. It sits not far from current operations underway in the present day. These mountains are rich in many resources, enough to fuel operations all through the backcountry, signs of which we see everywhere. This is the other side of Ruby Mountain, and the active mining roads switchbacking up her flanks are bound to spark a question, especially for those fans of both Earth and human history. Are the two somehow connected? Does all that gold have something to do with the volcanoes? We find that answer here on Ruby Creek. Cinder cones are not the only signs of volcanic activity out here. The tough, towering cliffs along Ruby Creek show us what warm honey lava looks like when it oozes from the earth instead of spitting and exploding. The Ruby Creek lava flow is a thick layer of basalt, and basalt does curious things when it cools. Jointed columns form when the basalt cools evenly from the outside inward, and the shrinking rock fractures into hexagon-like patterns, nature's most efficient way to relieve the stress. And get this, the layer of gold-bearing gravel lies beneath the Ruby Creek lava flow. In geology, there's a basic rule, except in rare cases, lower layers are older than the ones above, which means the gold was here long before the lava began breaking through the surface. So while the volcanic activity here didn't deposit the gold, it did help keep it here. The lava flow acts like a protective cap, and miners have long known that if they can dig beneath it, they'll find the gold-rich gravels waiting below. Farther up Ruby Creek, we see the ruins of an operation that did just that. Here, the creek has not cut down through the lava flow, and so a mine shaft was drilled through the basalt to access the gravel beneath. The main mining building still stands, complete with its power-providing water wheels and machinery. Nearby, we can't help but smile when we see an old dredge trommel used as a culvert. The road has since washed out, but you know you're in gold country when you see a scene such as this. And so the recent volcanic activity of this region didn't bring gold to the area, but it did help keep it here. And that made all the difference in the fate of thousands of lives and the town that they built together. Atlin drew gold seekers from all across the world when that precious metal was found in 1898. They built 2 settlements in the area. One, named Discovery, is today marked by nothing more than a few dilapidated cabins. Most of Discovery's buildings were actually moved to neighboring Atlin, where some still stand to this day. Atlin is a fascinating place where the past and present sit side by side. Gold Rush era buildings dot town, some slowly returning to the land, and some painstakingly preserved. It is immediately clear that the community takes great pride in its historic structures, as well as the wealth of machinery brought to this remote corner of BC over the years. This steam-powered shovel, for instance, is one of only 6 that still exist in the world. All these pieces tied together back out in the Atlin Volcanic District, where a tiny, unassuming hill answers a whole lot of lingering questions. Cracker Creek Cone is, just like Ruby, a cinder cone, but with one key difference. All signs point to it being young, very young. Largely unaltered by glaciers, it is probably less than 10,000 years old, making it the youngest known feature of the Atlin Volcanic District. Could Cracker Creek be the source of the glowing eruption of 1898? The answer is no. We can see with our own eyes that no fresh lava rock marks the earth here. But Cracker Creek's young age does tell us one very important thing. That warm honey lava is still prone to punch through the earth here, and so the process that led to the Northern Cordilleran Volcanic Province is still very much in play. And that process explains quite a lot of things. Earth's crust is broken into a series of plates that float on the underlying mantle. Here in this region, the Pacific Plate meets the North American Plate, and to the north and south, a pretty typical process is happening. The Pacific Plate slides under the North American Plate, bringing seawater with it, which lowers the melting point of the overlying crust, creating that peanut butter lava that can't travel very far in an eruption. So it forms tall, prominent volcanoes that are easy to spot and identify. But here in this region, something very different is happening. Around 20 million years ago, the motion of the Pacific Plate shifted from a head-on collision to a sideways glance. The Denali and Tintina fault zones aid this counterclockwise motion, and between the two fault zones, the crust is being stretched and thinned. This thinning relieves pressure on the underlying mantle, causing decompression melting, and that warm honey lava punches through the surface. It travels easily, so it builds low-profile shield volcanoes, small cinder cones, and broad lava flows. That is why this entire volcanic province flies a bit under the radar. Instead of tall, in-your-face stratovolcanoes, its features are subtle, low-profile, easy to miss. In fact, on this journey of ours, we've come face to face with many signs of this volcanic province, and like most travelers, we just didn't know. When we stood at the edge of the Tintina Trench, we had no idea we were standing on the easternmost boundary of Canada's youngest and largest volcanic province. And Miles Canyon, which formed such an integral part of the Klondike Gold Rush, is itself a lava flow. Were it not for this tough lava rock changing the river from wide and lazy to narrow and treacherous, two outposts, Canyon City and Whitehorse, may never have been needed, which means the capital city of the Yukon may never have been founded. The Northern Cordilleran Volcanic Province has been all around us for many chapters of this journey, and we just didn't know it. As we continue our journey down through BC, we are excited to keep our eyes and senses hyper-tuned to catch more glimpses of this elusive volcanic province. And so it comes to that burning question, the one that brought us all the way out here. Did that gold rush eruption happen or not? Well, unsolved mysteries are an exciting thing in any field, and this is one for the field of geoscience. It could very well be that somewhere in this vast landscape, the source of the miner's story sits tucked away and yet undiscovered. Now that we know why volcanism here can be somewhat elusive, and we see how big this land is, it becomes clear that there's only so much ground mapping teams can cover, and until someone makes this their thesis, we may never know if Canada really had an 1898 eruption or not. It's still a question in the wind, and isn't that exciting? The Atlin warm springs are another mystery. No firm conclusion has yet been drawn whether these waters are simply heated by Earth's thermal gradient or if they are somehow connected to the nearby volcanic district. Another open question that awaits the dedication of an inquisitive scientific mind. The warm springs flow into nearby Warm Bay, where we move the bus and spend a few days along the shores of Atlin Lake. Whenever we are asked why we've spent so much time here in the north when the mission is the Pan-American Highway all the way to Argentina, we need only share scenes like this one. The north pulls hard. It gets into your bones, and even when you prepare to leave, it stays with you. We move our home on wheels to town and decide to spend a few days here. We spent so much time in the backcountry chasing volcanoes and gold rush ruins. We now feel an itch to explore a bit and sink our teeth into the rhythms of this town. With scenery like this, we're surprised Atlin doesn't have more of a touristy feeling, especially as it's only 60 miles off the Alaska Highway. Our favorite spot by far is Kershaw's. There is something so satisfying in seeing human beings so devoted to creating something with great detail, care, and dedication. That is what we see here at Kershaw's. It is a gem, the building impeccably restored, the food divine, and the family-run affair very sweet to behold. Before moving on, we take a day to sort and organize the footage captured here. It's an important step, and when the views are this good, you stick around to do the tedious tasks here. We're trying to stay on top of our media management because we have some pretty big plans for what comes next. It's high summer in a part of the world where summer doesn't last too long, and we have a lot of miles and filming goals ahead. Come along and see where the road takes us next time on Art We There Yet.